In this new episode of our podcast, we'll be discussing why markets are continuing to move higher and if there is something that you need to be worried about, because there are certainly certain factors which I am paying attention to very closely when I am investing in this particular market. And of course, we will discuss geopolitics and how US has lost one of its biggest ally and how that has changed everything in the Middle East and for the long-term investors from the perspective of investments, from the perspective of even real estate market as well. And finally, and lastly, we'll be discuss our most favorable stocks that we're watching more closely. So stay tuned and let's get into it.
Naeem, tell us what is moving these markets, as it seems like this really is not going to stop anytime soon.
Yes, Subhani, you're absolutely right. Look, it doesn't seem like that there's anything which is going to stop this market, because the moment that we see any sort of obstacles coming for these markets are still very much moving in one direction, and that is to the upside. So what are the factors basically that is driving this particular momentum? There are so many of them, but to begin with, it is the Federal Reserve. The expectations were that the Federal Reserve is only going to cut the interest rate by 25 basis points. But now it seems like that the Federal Reserve is going to cut the interest rate by 50 basis points. So that has shifted everything, because more weakness in the labor market is assuring market players that this interest rate cut is going to go much more deeper, meaning more interest rates going to come in the market, and market loves it. The sentiment is that, okay, as long as we see cheap money coming, it becomes a lot more easier to borrow money. Traders will invest more, consumers will invest more, and then of course entrepreneurs will invest more. So with everything with that, that is pushing the market to the upside. Now, the second thing when it comes to this particular rally is everyone is thinking, look, Trump, he is very much pro-business. And that means that as long as he stays in the office, all the policies that he's going to put, they're going to be very much pro-business and the markets will go higher. He has somewhat ability, this is what market believes, that he can control the narrative, he can control the chaos. But in the longer term, I mean, I'm sure that's not the case, because we will discuss that later on. But this is what the market seems, because any obstacles which is coming, that is very much strengthening the argument that the market is okay, consumer spending is okay, the labor market is weak, but earnings are very good. And then this is all pushing the market to the upside. But this is not the full story, because when we look at the full story, it looks things very different.
Okay, that is interesting. Please share what is cooking under the hood.
Okay, look, what is cooking under the hood is, generally speaking, you have two asset classes. You have your gold and you have your equity market. And then they move in the opposite direction, meaning when gold prices go up, equity prices go down, meaning the stock market goes down. But in the current trend that we are seeing, and this is what we really mean cooking under the hood, is that we have seen tremendous amount of growth and in surge in gold prices since especially Donald Trump has come back into the office. And that is because people do not believe that the policies and what he is doing in the office is going to influence positively to the United States economy in the long term. So in the short term, yes, the markets are going up because of so many different factors that I've explained. But in the long term, investors are also hedging their bets because the geopolitics has shifted. And investors do not believe that the US debt, the treasury, which we call the US treasuries, is the most safe haven asset. Investors do not believe in the long term the dollar is still going to be the benchmark currency like how it used to be. It has lost its lust from that particular perspective. So all of these particular elements are very much negatively impacting the market. The third one, which is very, very important, and that is the US allies. We've done a video about the recent attack by Israel on Qatar. Yes, attack on Qatar. This is not like, Iran or some other small country where Israel can get away with very easily. This is going to change the narrative on all ends, literally on everything. So what do we mean by that? Because Qatar was a very important ally for the United States. This has changed everything. So we are going to look at the landscape shifting to much different dynamics.
What do you mean by your last statement?
Okay, look, the stories of denial is that when the particular news broke out, there were news that, okay, the United States had no information that this attack was going to happen. United States, then reports started to come, oh yeah, United States has some information that this is going to happen. And then it's like, okay, Trump, I wanted to make it create a distance between what Netanyahu has done and what the United States position is. But market is looking at everything. They're saying that, look, this is not what the situation is. You have the biggest airbase in Qatar, i.e. the US has the biggest airbase in Qatar. Nothing can go past that one without US knowing, no matter how sophisticated systems are. Doha is the capital of Qatar. Israel attacking Qatar is a major thing, because this really tells the narrative that we really do not care anymore. We can go as far as we want and we will go there. So this means that, okay, the US may no longer have its strongest ally, which it had, i.e. Qatar, in its pocket anymore.
So does this mean that the property prices will take a hit in Qatar and perhaps in UAE?
Yeah, look, this is interesting because when the recent last attack happened on Qatar from Iran as a retaliation, the stories on the market and what everyone was saying was that, okay, you know what? There were some reports that people were selling apartments, they were selling some properties at a much more lower discounted rate because there was a fear that, okay, Middle East, which is the safe haven, is no longer the safe haven. Now, the fact that the attack has happened in Qatar, it is bound to have some sort of an influence in that. Currently, we don't see that, but I think the question is that how much of this is really going to influence that, the whole market of that one, because the whole of the Middle East has experienced, like, you know, or experienced huge amount of investment, absolutely abundance of those investment. Middle East was like, okay, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, this is where the investments were happening. Everyone was coming there, whether you are a startup, whether you're a well-established business, because of the stability, because of everything else. Now things have changed, so I think things gonna look slightly bit more different from here onwards.
Okay, that is interesting, Naim. And certainly something to keep an eye on, and perhaps we will discuss this at a later stage. Let's go in your most favorite and interesting part of this podcast. That is the area of stocks and investment. What are the stocks that you're watching closely and what you recommend to people? They might watch that closely as well.
Yes. So look, you know, we cover our interesting stocks, the stocks that we are the most interested in our daily videos. So I highly recommend you guys to take a look on those particular videos. So the first one that I'm very much looking at is Palantir. This particular stock is up 113% year to date. Yes, digest that number. Now, what they've done is they've signed a defense deal with the ministry in the UK, the UK's Ministry of Defense. And their AI system is installed in wargaming and in training for the UK's Ministry of Defense people. This is a big deal because they are going. This is the contract which is signed is only with the UK, as per the report today. We have the rest of the world which is investing massively big. Now, how big this particular deal is? UK alone invests or spends more than 56. It's announced like it's going to spend more than 56 billion only this year, right, in the defense. Every country is increasing its defense spending. So that means Palantir, with a successful installation, adoption of its AI system in the defense sector, the opportunity is huge. So yes, 116 and 113% are very desirable numbers, and then may look like that, you know, we may be chasing the rally, but the market is huge, especially with the defense contract. Number two, this AI company, Neblus, is absolutely crazy. This is the AI company which is up. The stock is up more than 266% year to date, and it's crazy. So now they've signed a contract with Microsoft. The value of that contract is bigger than the entire market cap of Neblus. So what does that mean is that the company has signed up a serious contract with Microsoft. And for now, it is only Microsoft. Then you're going to see other companies signing up. So yes, 266% is a huge gain, but there's a plenty to come with that particular respect. Last is, of course, Rocket Lab. Bromance is over between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. If you look at the recent White House indoor meeting and who was there, you had people from Sam Altman from AI. You had people from NVIDIA. You had people from Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, like pretty much every single competitor in relation to Mark Zuckerberg and them. So they were there. And then it's like, okay, the message is clear. The government contracts going to go to Rocket Lab, which was the main competitor to SpaceX. So this is going to become the FedEx or delivery company, which is going to deliver product from Earth to space. So so Rocket Labs is a very important company to keep an eye on. Of course, we do all these particular videos on our daily channel, on a daily basis on our channel. So take a look on that and let us know what do you think of that. That is all.
Interesting. Thank you, Naeem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.